High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello and welcome to Overtime. I'm Scott Leber.
And I'm Drew Collins. We're glad you joined us for our final show of the season. We have a lot of great things planned.
Playoff highlights and previews. We'll have our spotlight story on two state championship football teams from back in the day at East High School. The great 1974 E-Rabs and the Cinderella 1985 E-Rabs.
Tim Bailey will join us to discuss our remaining Nick 10 teams in the playoffs. And the three of us will give our top list of Nick 10 players for this season, and then what we think will be the favorite going into next year for the Nick 10. It was a light playoff schedule tonight. The only Nick 10 team action was Belvedere North.
So the two of us made tracks for Milt Brown Stadium for this one. The Blue Thunder hosted the Canelan Knights. It's the Gillies Heating and Air Conditioning Game of the Week. The Blue Thunder came in with a record of 10-0. The Knights came in with an 8-2 mark. They compete in the Interstate 8 Conference with Sycamore and Rochelle. North's only points in the first half came here on a 31-yard field goal by Giovanni Pina. Canelan in the first half had a field goal and this short touchdown pass by Jalen Carter. At halftime, Canelan had the momentum, leading 10-3. Canelan built on the momentum on the first play from scrimmage in the second half. Carter kept the ball. He is quick. Eric Roman just missed him from behind. Carter had a 62-yard TD, and North trailed 17-3. But North bounced back behind its playmakers. First, it is Ben Booker who dekes out a defender. Booker will go 55 yards to the house. Good to see you again, Mr. Booker, and the Booker salute. Number 4, he's pretty special. On North's next possession, their other superstar makes a big splash. That's Eric Roman taking a pitch. He turns on the Jets, and just like that, North's 1-2 punch had tied up the game at 17. There's a look at Roman on the sideline. What a player. Drew, I'm going to let you take it from here.
All right, early in the fourth quarter, Xavier McElroy dove through the middle for a short touchdown. The Blue Thunder later added another field goal to lead 24-17. But they were not out of the woods yet. Canelan used the tush push to score and tie the game. Canelan then went for two, and they would get the lead as they would go for it right here. So this would make it a 25-24 game Knights lead. But North answered again, and this time it is Andrew Bucci on the QB keeper. He had lots of daylight and the go-ahead touchdown with 2.5 minutes to play. The Blue Thunder defeated Canelan 30-25. Ring that victory bell, guys. This was a sweet one. The Blue Thunder are moving on to the round 3 in Class 5A.
We weren't executing great in the first half, but second half, our coach gave us a speech. We really knew what we had to do, and we just came out, and I think we honestly wanted it more. We were more physical up front. We started executing our plays. We were reading our blocks, and I think overall we just started playing like ourselves in that second half.
At the end, we knew it was going to come down to defense, so I was just telling my defense, just give me one play. That's all I need is one play, and the coaches were saying that, and we got it, baby.
He's to get a stop, and they went one play and scored, so we were a little I'm sure there was a little bit of doubt, but our kids stuck together and continued to believe in what we do.
All right, we are joined by our Nick 10 analyst, Tim Bailey. Tim, we've said it all year, when the chips are down, North just finds a way to do it. They face some adversity, but they get it done.
Yeah, they did. They came up big tonight. You got to give kudos to what they were able to do offensively in the first half. They didn't really put the points on the board like they normally do in the Nick 10, but how they actually rallied back in the second half, down one score, came out, not flat. Responded on offense and defense. Their playmakers stepped up. Coaches called a great game. So, again, kudos to Belvedere North, man. This is what championship teams do, and I'm glad they got it done tonight.
I was a little concerned for North at halftime because they were a little down emotionally as well as on the scoreboard, and Canelan looked pretty confident, and then Canelan gets that opening TD. But, whenever you're on a team that has a Ben Booker and an Eric Roman, you got to feel like you're never out of it, right? It's kind of like the Dodgers with Otani or something like that. It's like, what a confidence boost it is just to have those two guys around.
Yeah, and we can't forget the other guys, too. Bucci stepped up big time. Another guy we don't talk about all the time, McElroy, they all stepped up. The stars came to play. But as it relates to Booker and Roman, these two are probably one of the two best dynamic duos that we have in this area. And they really showed it tonight. They came up big for their team. These guys didn't want to go home. Belvedere North wants to go to the third round. They showed it tonight, and as a result, they're going on to the third round.
And I love seeing the look in their eyes on the sidelines when we got some of those tight shots, because you could see in their eyes, like, we are not losing this game.
Yeah,
all right, if you're Jeff Beck, the head coach of Belvedere North, what are you saying to your guys after a comeback big game win like this?
You know, I would just rally my guys and say, hey guys, look, you know, let's relish this. And let's get back to work on Saturday or Sunday. They play next week. They're going to play a tougher opponent, the winner between, I believe, St. Pat and Cary Grove. So you know the third round is going to be tough. I would just say to my guys, enjoy this one, live it up for the moment. But guys, we got to get better. We got to clean some things up because each round it gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So I would just keep it simple and sweet.
Don't go away. We got another team to talk about. The Harlem Huskies, they're going to be in action tomorrow. They'll play under the lights at 6 p.m. at Central High School in Burlington. These two schools have never played each other before in football. The Huskies blew out Chicago Mather last week in the first round of the playoffs.
And the Rockets got by Libertyville 21-17. The Rockets' only loss on the season was to Prairie Ridge, the #1 ranked team in the state in Class 5A. The Rockets are ranked 4th in the state in 6A. Here's the scouting report from Harlem head coach Jim Morrow on Central.
Well, I see a balanced team. They do like to throw it around a little bit, but they have a big front, so they do like to lean on you and grind it. They've got, you know, a nice zone scheme with some big tight ends that could pose a problem.
They run the ball downhill really well, so if stopping the run would be a very big thing for us to do. And then if they can pass the ball, you know, we got me and LeBron, so, you know, we're going to do our job.
We know that we're coming into a pass-first team, and, you know, they kind of play like us, so we're just ready. We're working on our footwork, working on our talent, and, you know, we're just pushing each other.
Tim, we know you looked at a lot of Burlington Central, tape this week. What do you see in those guys?
You know, they're tough. They're big up front. They have good skill play. I don't think it's any skills that Harlem has never seen before. But I like what they do. Big up front. They actually move bodies back. They open up gaping holes for the running backs, as you heard these young men allude to earlier. You know, stopping that run game of Burlington is going to be a huge thing for Harlem, and I think they can do it. But again, you know, Central's a really good team. I like what they do defensively. You know, they make big stops on defense. All 11 hats running to the ball. They're a good team, but I think Harlem's going to be up for the challenge.
Tim, we're going to have you back on later in the show. We're going to have some fun listing our top Nick 10 players for this season and who we believe will be the top teams in the conference next year.
All right, up next, highlights from the Dixon Dukes in action tonight and a look ahead to tomorrow's games. The only thing better than hosting an opening playoff game is having a second home playoff game in round number 2.
The Dixon Dukes were back on their home turf tonight at A.C. Bowers Field, hosting the Coal City Kohlers in the 4A playoffs. Tyler Sorensen has that one for us. Tyler?
Yeah, guys, the Coal City Kohlers have a great football program, and they proved that again last week when they dominated Sterling 49-7 in playoff action. Now, last year, Coal City knocked Dixon out of the playoffs in the quarterfinals, so the Dukes had revenge on their minds tonight. And like I said, this is a rematch of last year when Coal City beat Dixon in the third round of the playoffs, 20-13. But let's start in the third quarter, though, with it all tied up at 21. Jagger Kemp pulls out and hits Jake Zepazar as he walks it in for a touchdown. But just one play later, Connor Henline from Coal City would find Logan Nattyshak wide open as he takes this one to the house. But they would miss the extra point, giving Dixon a 1-point lead. But that lead would not stay for long as the lefty is looking, scrambling, and heaving one up for Gavin Vestal for the score. And after a 2-point conversion, the Kohlers lead 35-28, and they would tack on another touchdown, putting them up by 14. Dixon, though, does not want to go out without a fight as Jagger Kemp finds Jackson Kohler, who takes it down to the 2-yard line, and with Landon Carnegie punch-in one play later, the Dukes come within 7. Coal City, though, is looking to put this one out of reach as Henline would find old reliable Nattyshak one more time as he takes it down the sideline for the score. As for the second straight year, Dixon loses in the playoffs to Coal City. Now, guys, this Coal City team is going to be tough to beat coming up. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Tomorrow, there's going to be a rematch of two local teams that went at it during the regular season, the Byron Tigers and Dupec Rivermen.
They'll play at 1 o'clock over at Pecatonica. That's the same place they played at in Week 6 of the regular season. Dupec led at halftime, 14-12, but it was all Byron in the second half. The Tigers won it 42-14.
Caden Considine rushed for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. Dawson Criddle also scored a pair of touchdowns. Byron held the Rivermen to 183 yards of total offense.
In Lena tomorrow, the Lena Winslow Panthers will host Gibson City Melvin Sibley. Melvin Sibley has a record of 8-2. The Falcons are ranked 9th in the state in Class 1A, but the Panthers have been looking really good. Last week, they knocked off Forston 48-22.
Stockton has a long road trip to Hayworth in Class 1A. That's south of Bloomington. The Blackhawks are 10-0. They started slow last week against Galena, but then rolled to a 26-0 win. The Hayworth Hornets have a record of 8-2. In the 8-man playoffs tomorrow, there will be 3 games of local interest. South Beloit plays at Milledgeville, St. Anne at Polo, and Amboy at Pawnee. The first 2 games are afternoon games. The Amboy game will be a 6 p.m. start.
We are in our 11th week of game action this season, and a lot of remarkable things have happened in the state line during this journey.
Let's take a look back at some of the more memorable moments. For starters, Auburn and Jefferson were forced to move all of their home games for this season when a small aircraft from Cottonwood Airport next to Auburn High School took out one of the light towers at Wyeth Stadium. That happened only a week before the season was to begin. Jefferson moved its home games across town to Swanson Stadium on Thursday nights. Auburn still played its home games at Wyeth Stadium, but on Saturday afternoons when lights weren't needed.
Guilford's Messiah Tilson became one of the few players ever from the Rockford area to commit to an SEC school this year when he announced he would play for Kentucky. Another Guilford player, junior Keeson Taylor, became the most heavily recruited Rockford football player ever right after that. Offers poured in from almost every Big Ten school, including Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, and Indiana. Major schools from other parts of the country also have made offers to Taylor. They include North Carolina, Miami, Arizona State, and Tilson's choice, Kentucky.
Several players broke major records. EPC's Will Burchin set an IHSA record for career tackles.
Lena Winslow's Aiden Wild set an NUIC record when he rushed for 8 touchdowns in a game against EPC. That was also the 4th highest total in IHSA history.
Dixon's Landon Carnegie set a school record when he rushed for 447 yards in a game against Genoa Kingston on the final week of the regular season.
Mike Townsend broke most of Jefferson's career receiving records. Davon Grant broke most of DeKalb's receiving records.
There were some strange plays like this one during the EPC Stockton game when a Stockton kickoff caromed hard right off the helmet of an EPC player right back at Stockton. Stockton recovered the ball and took possession.
There was also this play in the Oregon-Stillman Valley game. Stillman running back Bryson Batch appeared to be down, but his knee never touched the ground. Batch regained his balance and bolted for what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown.
There was this memorable moment when East honored 103-year-old former East player Gene Kleindl during halftime of the game in late September. Just a few weeks later, Kleindl passed away.
Lena Winslow debuted at its refurbished football stadium, complete with the new field turf, new scoreboard, and new stands. Byron debuted its new grandstands and field turf sidelines. And Rockford East played its first game on campus maybe ever, when it hosted Guilford on a Saturday afternoon on its new turf practice field.
There was heartbreak in Rochelle when star running back Dylan Manning went down with a head injury in a game at Ottawa on October the 3rd. Manning needed emergency surgery to reduce swelling in his brain. He spent a month in intensive care undergoing several procedures. The Rochelle community and folks beyond Rochelle have rallied around Manning, supporting him and his family in every way possible since that injury.
And there was this moment. The night a couple weeks ago when the Jefferson Jayhawks learned that they were officially in the playoffs. The first Jefferson team in 32 years to be a part of the playoff field.
What a great year.
Yeah, it was. Before we do anything else, it's time to reveal our Athlete of the Week.
Athlete of the Week is brought to you by McCloskey, Kessler & Associates. Our finalists this week were Dixon running back Landon Carnegie, Guilford receiver Messiah Tilson, Lena Winslow fullback Aiden Wild, and Byron fullback Caden Considine.
And the winner is Landon Carnegie of Dixon. Carnegie received 41% of the votes. Congratulations, Landon, on being selected to our Athlete of the Week. Coming up, Tim will rejoin us. We'll tell you about our top 10 Nick 10 players for the season.
And our pick is the team to beat in the conference next year.
We always like to end each season by tipping our cap to some of the top players in Nick 10. So we welcome back Tim for this one.
And I want to point out, we're not projecting what these guys are going to do in the future in college or maybe the pros. This is our list of the 10 guys who were the best players this year in the Nick 10, according to us. Tim, let's look at the big board here, and you give us your top 5 players of the year in the Nick 10. If we can punch that up. There we go.
Okay, here we go. My top 5 players in the Nick 10 this year. Messiah Tilson, Guilford. Good luck to him as he takes his talents over there to down there to Kentucky. Number 2, Keeson Taylor, Guilford. He's going to be back next year. He did a phenomenal job this year. Ben Booker, Belvedere North. We saw him, what he did tonight. Special playmaker. He's been that for the last 3 years, playing on that varsity level at Belvedere North. Number 4, Jackson Cook, Harlem. Hopefully he stands out tomorrow, but he's had one hell of a career, guys, so far, as he's actually only a junior. He'll be a senior next year. And then last, 5, Eric Roman, Belvedere North. I mean, he was all over the field tonight. I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if he was MVP this year defense.
Drew, who do you got in your top 5?
All right, well, mine looks pretty similar, like maybe a little out of order and a few new guys. I got Booker and Roman 1 and 2, the duo. We saw them tonight. No explanation needed. Jackson Cook, for many reasons, like you said. LeBron McClellan, let's throw in the Harlem duo in there as well. And then your guy, Chris Porter. Man, what a season he had on the ground.
Yeah, baby beast mode, baby beast mode.
All right, here's my top 5. I'm going with Eric Roman, number 1. Best linebacker I've seen in the conference since Carlos Polk. Unbelievable sideline to sideline.
That's saying a lot.
Keeson Taylor, Guilford, I'm going number 2. Messiah Tilson of Guilford, number 3. Ben Booker of Belvedere North, number 4. And Braxton Fawcett, I just love. He knows how to play quarterback.
Yeah.
He's got a feel for the game. He's got accuracy on short range, medium range, and long range. I got Braxton number 5.
He had a good season.
All right, your second 5, Tim.
My second 5, here we go. Grayson Weber had a phenomenal season this year. Look for him to come back next year in 2026 and really do some really good things for Guilford. Number 7, my man, baby beast mode, Chris Porter. What a career he's had, guys. I mean, he was definitely one of the best backs that we've had in the league this year. Number 8, LeBron McClellan. A dual threat, two-way player, does it on both sides of the ball. Good luck to him tomorrow. He really stood out this year. And Mike Townsend, he did a phenomenal job over there at Jefferson. That was good to see him be able to be part of that drought that ended with Jefferson. He had a phenomenal season this past year. And then Andrew Bucci, if you saw the game tonight, I mean, he deserves to be on this list. Keep doing what you're doing, Bucci, man. That's my list.
Drew, who rounds out your top 10?
Yeah, I got Townsend at 6. Just a great season all around. Really helped Jefferson get where they went this year. Keeson Taylor, Messiah Tilson, we already know the deal with those guys. Braxton Fawcett, an incredible year that maybe we all didn't see coming, that he just came in here and did his thing, and it was really impressive. And I'm going to throw in Grayson Weber, just another great quarterback in the Nick 10. Lots of weapons, but he's got a great future ahead of him.
All right, here's my second 5. At number 6, I got Grayson Weber. He right behind Fawcett there. They're so close. Love them both. Jackson Cook of Harlem, absolute tremendous player. Chris Porter. Chris, man, you run so hard. I love it. I love it. And Mike Townsend, you're super running routes, great hands. You got the whole package. And LeBron McClellan, the beauty of a lot of these guys are back next year, so we're going to have some fun next year.
Conference will be stacked with some playmakers for sure.
Right. And while we're talking about next year, let's look ahead to next year into our crystal ball and tell everybody who we think will be the top 5 teams in the conference next year. Tim, let's look at your picks for that. Who's your top 5?
Yeah, my top 5, going into 2026, Guilford's up there. Look who they bring back. They bring back a ton of playmakers on both sides of the ball. I look for Guilford to be at that number 1 spot. Number 2, Harlem. They bring a lot of guys back, so I look for Harlem to be in that top 5. 3, Belvedere North. They're going to lose some really key players, this next year. But I look for, Coach Beck and the boys to actually get back into that top 5. Jefferson, Coach Cazaza's done a phenomenal job over there. His last couple seasons, he's been head coach. I look for them to be back in the top 5. And then Hananiga, I look for Hananiga to really, really improve based upon what they did this year. Again, that's my top 5.
If I had a Huskies mascot helmet, I would put it on right now because give me the Huskies for 1. Give me the Vikings, 2. They also return a ton of great players. Belvedere North, they should be a good team, but they're also losing some of their studs, so I'm not sure what we're going to see from them. I'll throw in Hananiga 4, always a good program year after year, and give me Jefferson 5, top 5 of this year and top 5 next year.
My top 5 is exactly the same as Drew. I think Harlem and Guilford are kind of going to be head and shoulders above everybody else. North and Hananiga just have great programs. The Jayhawks got momentum. They're doing good things there. So, but, there are going to be some transfers over the summer. There are going to be some guys, unfortunately, injured, and some guys who just won't come out for football because maybe their main sport's wrestling or baseball, and they want to focus on that. So by August, when we do this again going into next season, we could have something a little bit different up there.
I'm going to stick with my list, though.
All right, folks, you can get more in-depth Nick 10 football information from Tim on the Bailey Pod. You can find a new episode on YouTube every Thursday. This week, Tim is joined by Belvedere North's Ben Bucher and myself, along with Harold Bone.
Tim, it has been a blast, as always, having you on with us again this season. We always look forward to hearing your views and just hanging out with you.
Absolutely. I love it, guys. Yeah, been a treat for sure.
Up next, we have our Spotlight feature story.
A look back at two special teams from East High School that won it all several decades ago. Decades have passed since the 1974 East E-Rabs and the 1985 East E-Rabs won football state championships. They're two of the most talked about teams in Rockford history. One is considered by most old-timers to be the best Rockford team ever, and the other one was a true Cinderella story. We look back on both of them in our Spotlight story, brought to you by Rockford Career College. The 1974 East E-Rabs went 13-0. They won their first game 45-6 over Jefferson. Pretty much every game they played was a blowout. Is that the greatest team that Rockford has ever produced?
In my opinion, yes. It was just great to be week after week just knowing we were going to be competitive.
Giardini was the defensive assistant coach under head coach Bob Pellant. 5 players on that team went on to play major college football. 3 of them were taken in the NFL draft, and a 4th got an NFL tryout. Ira Matthews, who later played in the NFL, rushed for 817 yards. Fullback Joe Black rushed for 819 yards. They ran behind a dominant line that was led by George Witowitz. He later played at Wisconsin. Now, most teams with that talent would just run the ball constantly, but not these E-Rabs. They also had the conference's leading passer, a quarterback, Dean Schluter. He passed for 1,450 yards.
He was very good. He was very cool, collective. He wasn't the physical quarterback that you'd like to see. He wasn't real tall, but he commanded respect.
The E-Rabs had some dominant players on defense, too. Jerry Holloway on the line. He later played in the NFL. And Stuart Walker. He had 17 sacks that season.
He was quick. He was tall. He was physical. We had colleges just staked out in our school looking to recruit him.
Walker wound up playing college ball at Colorado. That East team also included two-way star Russell Pope at flanker and defensive back. He went on to play at Purdue.
I thought that team, even when they played bad, they were going to win. They were so talented.
Those E-Rabs knew they were good. They had gone undefeated as freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. But the IHSA didn't start holding playoffs until their senior year in the fall of 1974, and they were ready. They opened with a 30-13 win against Belvedere. They followed that by shutting out Thornton 28-0. They hammered Barrington 31-7. In the 4A state championship game, they defeated Normal 34-15. In that game, Matthews ran for 2 touchdowns, and he had a touchdown catch. The East E-Rabs made history as one of the first state football champions in Illinois.
This team was just something special. They were expected to win, and they did.
11 years later, to the very day that the 74 E-Rabs won state, the 85 E-Rabs won state in Class 5A. That East team was not expected to win. It only went 6-3 during the regular season, and the E-Rabs lost their last 2 regular season games. Perry Giardini was the head coach of that team, and Gary was his defensive coordinator.
Our quarterback, and when the season started, a kid named Mark Billboard, we had basically based our offense on him, on throwing the football. Well, Mark broke his wrist in the second game.
The E-Rabs leaned on 3 solid running backs in Nate Pulliam, Tony Hunt, and John Brown. Brown rushed for more than 1,400 yards.
Touchdown, John Brown. He was 5'8" and maybe 150 pounds, but he could run.
The E-Rabs squeaked into the playoffs. By then, Milborn's wrist had healed. He returned at quarterback, and things started to click. In the playoffs, the E-Rabs defeated Boylan, Belvedere, Glenbard West, Spartanville Limestone. And then in the championship game, they cruised past Arlington Heights Forest View 28-3. In that game, Milbourne threw 2 touchdown passes to senior tight end Kelvin Malone.
We were a good high school football team, but we just played as well as we could possibly play, and we did it 5 times in a row. It was beyond any expectation. It was a magical time.
I've always said if I had a Rockford sports time machine, I'd want to go back and watch a Rockford Peaches game in person, and then I'd want to watch that 1974 East football team because that was an extremely talented group.
So many big-time college players and NFL players on one team.
Yeah, incredible. We'll be right back.
It's time for an Ableton Auto Group Play of the Night.
The top play cut on our cameras. We'll go back to Belvedere North against Canelan, and the big explosion in the third quarter. Ben Bucher first ripping off the long touchdown run. That really lit the fire there, and then Eric Roman made it blaze as he took off for another long TD. We got to end it with a 1-2 punch of those two guys. What a year, what a game. That is the Napleton Auto Group double play of the night.
And a reminder, you can find highlights and scores anytime on our website, mystateline.com. That does it for this show and for the football season.
It is our final show, but we will continue our playoff coverage on Eyewitness News these next few weeks, and we'll be back here in January for our basketball version of Overtime. Enjoy your weekend.